INEC's continuous voter registration is still ongoing. If you have not registered yet, this is a good time to do it and get ready to vote. On the news this hour, reactions as court sentences IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. U.S. Congressman Moore meets Nigerian delegation, demands action to end genocide. River stakeholder calls for better provision for flood victims. Federal government to probe electronic money transfer collections. On the foreign scene, senior Pentagon officials in Ukraine for talks to end war with Russia. I'm Sam Chinedu, and the news continues after the break. Imprisonment for terrorism. Justice James Omotosho said he sentenced Kanu to life imprisonment for counts 1, 4, 5, and 6 instead of a death sentence. He also sentenced the IPOB leader to 20 years imprisonment and 5 years imprisonment on count 7 with no option of fine. He said the sentence shall run concurrently. Justice Omotosho ordered that the defendant be kept in protective custody in any part of the country, but not in Kuje Prison, Abuja, and that the radio transmitter be forfeited to the federal government.
I've listened to the allocutors made by the member of House of Representatives representing the constituency of the convict. I'm not really persuaded, but I must temper justice with mercy. Our Lord himself is merciful. No matter what we do, consequently and in the interest of justice, I hereby sentence the convicts to life imprisonment for the said counts 1, 4, 5, and 6 instead of death sentence. Life is sacred to God.
Earlier before the ruling, Kanu insisted that proceedings could not continue because he had not yet filed his final written address, accusing the judge of bias and not understanding the law. He was subsequently removed from the courtroom on the orders of the judge for unruly behavior. As you may know, Nnamdi Kanu was first arrested in October 2015, but he jumped bail in 2017 and left the country after a military raid on his home. The court later revoked his bail in March 2019. 2 years later, the federal government announced that he had been rearrested. His lawyers say he was detained in Kenya and forcibly returned to Nigeria. In 2022, an appeal court ordered that the charges against him be dropped, saying he had been illegally arrested abroad, but this ruling was overturned by the Supreme Court the following year. Meanwhile, Aloy Ejimako, special counsel to the convicted Nnamdi Kanu, says he will appeal the judgment. Speaking with newsmen shortly after the ruling on Thursday at the Federal High Court, Abuja, Ejimako condemned the judgment, saying they are approaching the appeal court immediately. He said such ruling must not be allowed to stand. In the meantime, the counsel to the federal government, Adeboyega Awomolo, has hailed the sentencing of Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. Awomolo, who spoke after Kanu was convicted of 7 counts of terrorism, said the conviction signals that no one is above the country's law. He said Nigeria is bigger than every one of us. And speaking on this, lawyer and activist Chetam Wala says the outcome of the terrorism trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu might have been different if he had presented a defense. Kanu in October abandoned his earlier plan to call witnesses in his trial for alleged terrorism offenses. Speaking to our correspondent, Wala said presenting a defense would have given Kanu an opportunity to challenge and possibly debunk the allegations against him.
Because who would have heard from him, would have heard his own position and how he is debunking each and every testimony that was given. And in criminal matters of this magnitude, when you don't put in a defense and serious allegations are levied against you with evidence being presented before the court will rely on what it has to give judgment. The court cannot go and look for defense for you. And we have seen the end today, which is an unfortunate situation.
Wala expressed concern about the security implications of the judgment in the southeast. He called on the government to deploy adequate security personnel to the region to prevent tension or crisis.
The Nigerian security outfit must, as a matter of urgency, beef up security presence across the southeast, because we also know that there are certain mercenaries who would want to rely on these judgments to cause chaos within the southeast, and we will have further loss of life. I think we have come to the end of this whole journey, and we now have a direction. So let's watch and see what happens in the coming days. Nnamdi Kanu is going to appeal the said judgment. He still has about 2 rights of appeal, to the Court of Appeal and as well to the Supreme Court.
The lawyer also said the government must work to rebuild the confidence of the people, particularly those who believe the government is being one-sided in the rehabilitation and reintegration of former terrorists in the north.
The government need to also look for ways to address this and to give these other people that confidence that no, we are dealing with issues based on specific cases brought before the courts. I just hope that going forward, we should not be seeing a regional thing or a sectional thing. Those persons who were also involved in similar prescribed terrorist agitation, who were involved in similar actions, should also be tried. We've read stories about bandits in the north who are now referred to as repentant persons and all that, and they are trying to reincorporate them into the society. This should not be. People should be prosecuted.
He also advised the judiciary to avoid prolonged delays in handling criminal cases of this magnitude.
We should not continue to have a judicial system where for us to get done with a criminal matter, we have to spend close to 15 years struggling to get a criminal matter done with. People, verdicts like this should be given as quick as possible. The moment you start delaying justice, delaying matters of this magnitude, trust me, a lot of things would actually go under the bridge. And that is what has also continued to create the distrust a lot of persons have for this particular judgment.
To security matters now, the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has called on the federal government to address the security situation in the country. In a statement, the president of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, warned of further escalation of insecurity across the country if the federal government does not bring the situation under control. The call followed the terrorist invasion in Kebbi State, where 25 female students of the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School were kidnapped and the vice principal of a secondary school was killed. The attack, killing of citizens in a church in Eruku community in Kwara State. Also, U.S. Congressman Riley M. Moore says the U.S. must see tangible steps to ensure that Christians are not subject to violence, persecution, and displacement and death. The congressman said this when the Nigeria delegation visited him in Washington on Wednesday. He emphasized the urgent need for concrete action, warning that religious violence cannot continue unchecked. The delegation, which was led by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, discussed the alleged escalating persecution of Christians and the growing threat of terrorism in Nigeria. The delegation included Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Bianca Ojukwu, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, Attorney General of the Federation Lateef Olusukanmi Fagbemi, Chief of Defense Staff General Olufemi Oloyede, and Chief of Defense Intelligence Lieutenant General EAP Udianyedeye, among others. And back home in Rivers State, the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has called for stronger collaboration among stakeholders in the South-South region to boost peace and security. Governor Fubara made the call during the South-South Zonal Public Hearing on National Security, organized by the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on National Security in Port Harcourt today. Speaking through the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Benibo Anabraba, the governor said, "Security is not the responsibility of the government alone, but a shared duty of every citizen. He highlighted the state's efforts in providing security agencies with operational vehicles, boats, aircraft, accommodation, and welfare support to protect lives and property. Governor Fubara also urged stakeholders to adopt a bottom-up approach in tackling security issues, paying special attention to the region's coastal environment and its strategic position along the Gulf of Guinea. Also speaking, Senate Minority Leader and Chairman of the South-South Security Summit, Senator Abba Patrick Morrow, said the Senate will use the findings from the summit to guard policy reforms, legislative measures, and budgetary provisions aimed at improving national security. In other news, a stakeholder, Jackson Omenazu, says what people living in flood-prone areas need are far deeper than relief materials. Dr. Omenazu said this while speaking with our correspondent on the distribution of relief materials to Oyibo and Gokana local government areas by the State Flood Committee. He advised the state government to provide agriculture, education, health, and other support to the flood victims.
Both the state and federal government must urgently expand their intervention beyond the routine distribution of edible relief materials. The humanitarian need in that area are far deeper. Medical assistance is critical. Many families are now exposed to waterborne diseases. Agriculture have been crippled. Deploy tractors to support late famine. Without this, families who depend on agriculture for survival will sink deeper into poverty. Education must not be an afterthought. The government should supply books, learning materials, and deploy additional teachers to help these children catch up with their peers across the state.
Dr. Menazu said citizens must be treated with the dignity and respect they deserve.
Recovery must be holistic. Agriculture, health, and education infrastructure and human dignity are all tied together. We must treat our people within that area with the decorum, respect, honor they deserve as humans, lest they lose hope on the country called Nigeria.
Still to come, federal government to probe electronic money transfer collections. Stay tuned. Welcome back. A major boost has been recorded in the ongoing electrification of Eche local government area following the delivery of 500 kVA transformers to Chokocho community. The chairman of Eche local government council, Chima Boniface Njoko, while handing over the transformer, described the development as part of his administration's commitment to light up Eche and strengthen power supply across the local government area. Njoko said his administration has also purchased 20,000 meters of high-tension cables to support expansion of electricity across the LGA. He further announced that he was awarded the electrification of New Haven, Umukwara Badim streets in Chokocho community. He assured the people that the council will extend electricity poles and high-tension lines along the major road to guarantee stable distribution. He also stated that the council will handle the initial bills required for installation and activation to ease the burden on the community. He urged the people of Chokocho to protect the transformer. Also speaking, the member representing Eche constituency 2 in the River State House of Assembly, Chimeze Wankwo, who hails from Chokocho community, commended the Eche council chairman for his proactive leadership. He described the gesture as a blessing to the community and a clear demonstration of the chairman's commitment to development. Residents have also welcomed the development with excitement, expressing hope that the new transformer will enhance electricity, support businesses, and improve living conditions. Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Chukwudi Onyaso, has urged the federal and state governments to review the welfare packages of the nation's medical workforce as a way of addressing brain drain. Speaking to journalists at the end of the 7th Ernest Dublin Green Memorial Lectures and 2025 Annual General Meeting of the Nigeria Dental Association, River State Branch, Professor Onyaso also identified the need to provide additional learning equipment to train more doctors and dentists.
People take loan in US to train as dentists or doctors. Nigeria, with little or nothing, relatively, you can train. That means the federal government is subsidizing training. But at the end of the day, they are not able to keep them because they don't pay them reasonable salary. At least the peanut is so small. In all African countries, Nigeria is the worst paid. So it's a major issue. We should be worried about it, and government should do something. You cannot train dentists easily because it's equipment dependent. You need to buy a lot of machine, equipment, materials to train an average dentist. So before you can increase the quota, you need to have those things.
On his part, the state chairman of Nigeria Dental Association, Dr. Thomas Salami, advised the public against seeking the services of quacks and uncertified dentists, adding that the association would, in the coming days, set up a task force to clamp down on illegal persons masquerading as dentists.
Anywhere you see spas, beauty parlors, and so on, rendering procedures like teeth whitening, bleaching, provision of veneers, avoid such places because we are working in harmony with our parent body, the Nigeria Medical Association, as well as Ministry of Health, River State, to put a stop to this unwholesome conduct.
Tumili, who is the daughter of Nigeria's pioneer dentist Ernest Dublin Green, spoke on the significance of the memorial lectures in honor of her father. Her remark came alongside the secretary of the local organizing committee, Dr. Franklin Ifidon.
It has been a wonderful celebration where we've had a lot of discussions about dentistry and the life and times of our father. We are delighted. Young people should persevere. There's a lot to learn, and it is important that young people realize that this is a wonderful profession that they can go into.
As an association, the Nigerian Dental Association River State has thought it wise to identify with the family and celebrate this awesome legacy he has left behind. He actually gave the platform for a lot of us coming in, practicing as a dentist in Nigeria and River State.
Correspondent Nnamdi Nwala reports that the event was themed Global Trends in Dental Practice and Their Effects on Population Health. The sub-theme is quackery, a trending menace in dental practice. A glaucoma patient, Callistus Okere, is appealing to the government to urgently address the rising cost of medicine across healthcare facilities in Nigeria. Speaking in an interview with correspondent Nnamdi Nwala, Okere said he sometimes uses herbal leaves as an alternative to eye drop due to the scarcity of drugs prescribed by physicians.
I'm having glaucoma. So need to live in eye drop death. It's going to cost a lot of money. By age now, I'm approaching to 50. So if God gave me to something years ago, that means I have to spend millions of naira in my drugs. Federal government, state government, and local government should create an avenue for us patients of different health challenge to have access to a drug. Sometimes you go to the pharmacy, they say they don't have it. It will take you to be going to different pharmacies in Port Harcourt, crossing main road with health challenge. If it is in the hospital, they can be able to purchase it and go back to your home. Government should look into it and bring down the cost of the drugs so that we can afford it.
Meanwhile, a herbalist, Kelvin Odum, says the current economic situation in the country is also affecting trado medical practice. Odum noted a sharp increase in the cost of traditional medicine, adding that the affordability is also affecting sales.
The prices of the herbal things I make use of are always increasing. Like example, the malaria road, it rises every day because those who bring to me transportation and some other payments on the way while bringing it makes things increase. So they add up to their sales. The herbal drugs works more perfect because these are natural things. We use natural roots, natural leaves, and natural herbs. The economics is really affecting some of my customers. 40% has reduced, but those who really understand, which is 60%, are still coming.
In the meantime, a pharmacist, Barido Duka, has urged the government to take drastic steps in reviewing essential drug lists, making them available in medical centers, and also give a waiver in taxes. Duka, a lecturer at the Department of Experimental Pharmacology and Toxicology, Uniport, also called for regulatory bodies to monitor retail prices in pharmacies. The federal government has commenced an investigation into the collection of the Electronic Money Transfer (EMT) levy between 2019 and 2022. In a statement issued on Thursday by head of the Information and Public Relations Unit of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Miriam Umar Yusuf, the investigation is being led by the Commissioner representing Oyo State, Dr. Kolade Daniel Abimbola. He said the inquiry is being coordinated by the Inland Revenue Monitoring Committee of the Fiscal Commission. The news continues after the break. Welcome back. On the international scene, senior Pentagon officials have arrived in Ukraine to discuss efforts to end the war with Russia. The team led by U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll held talks with Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko on Thursday morning. They are expected to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky later in the day. Reports began surfacing on Wednesday that the U.S. and Russia had prepared a new proposed framework to end the war, requiring major concessions from Ukraine, including giving up territory and dramatically shrinking its military. It was reportedly drafted by President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Russian Special Envoy Kirill Dmitriev. And that's the news, but before we go, another look at the headlines. Nigerians have started reacting to the sentencing of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu to life imprisonment. U.S. Congressman Riley M. Moore on Wednesday met with Nigerian delegation with a demand to end genocide. River stakeholder Jackson Omenazu has called for better provision for flood victims. The federal government has commenced the probe of electronic money transfer collections between 2019 and 2022. On the foreign scene, senior Pentagon officials are now in Ukraine for talks to end war with Russia. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Sam Chinedu. Thanks for listening.